Breaking news here on CBS Sports HQ. It's a college football playoff. The Final Four has been revealed. As expected, SEC champions Georgia get the number 1 spot, and the Bulldogs will face number 4 Ohio State in the Peach Bowl. TCU gets in at number 3 despite losing the Big 12 title game on Sunday to Kansas State. The Horned Frogs will take on number 2 and Big 10 champions Michigan in the Fiesta Bowl. Alabama's Nick Saban lobbied for his 2-loss Crimson Tide to make the cut, but they just missed out at number 5. The national semifinals are set for Saturday, December 31st. Let's get into this with our guys. Danny Cannell is here on the set with me. Jerry Palm is also here. Brian McFadden joins us from Minneapolis. Let's go around the horn. DK, I'll start with you. Did the committee get it right?
Yes. I think we all tried to build up some drama to at least make it exciting. But I think this is pretty much what everybody thought would happen. And even though there was a late case from Nick Saban last night, making the rounds, politicking, trying to make the case for Alabama, this is what should have transpired based on what unfolded. Ultimately, I think they got the matchups right, too. By keeping TCU at 3, their resume was better than Ohio State's. And the best part about this is I think we get the most entertaining matchups with Ohio State versus Georgia and Michigan versus TCU. I think all of it comes together perfectly, and I think this is what should have happened, and I think the committee got it right.
Jerry, you had the article over on CBSSports.com kind of walking through, how you thought it would set up. It comes out exactly to pass as you kind of predicted, and a lot of other people did. Do you agree with the way that the committee set things up here, or were you surprised that Ohio State didn't get the jump over TCU, given the fact that TCU lost the title game?
Yeah, but TCU lost the title game to the number 10 team, a team they'd already beaten this year, and in overtime. Ohio State's loss came to number 2 by about 30. I mean, they got crushed in the second half of that game. So I don't really think there was much debate. And in fact, really any, created drama over Alabama was just insulting to all of our intelligences. That was never going to happen. These were the 4 teams. The only sliver of doubt was whether Ohio State would jump TCU for 3, but this is correct. I mean, TCU had a better season all season long. Ohio State dominated the games that it won for the most part, but their schedule just wasn't up to snuff because the league was not very good once you got beyond Penn State.
BMAC, what are your thoughts on the way the committee has kind of laid things out, not just with the 4, but with 5 and 6 as well? Are you happy with what you're seeing here?
Yeah, I'm right there lockstep with Danny and Jerry. I agree. The committee got it right in regards to TCU still getting into the top 4, and of course with Ohio State being able to get that 4th and final spot. And I like the matchups. I'm excited to see Michigan go toe-to-toe against TCU. I'm excited to see UGA go toe-to-toe against a Heisman-like player in C.J. Stroud. So I have no issues. I'm excited about seeing how everything happened outside of the top 4 with Alabama and Tennessee solidifying the 5th and the 6th spot. So I feel like the committee got it right. I know there were a lot of opinions in regards to what will happen when we saw some of the chaos that took place Friday night and, of course, last night with the Big 12 championship. But TCU, they're more than deserving to get inside the top 4, and I'm happy the committee got everything right.
Yeah, BMAC, you were one of the guys on Friday that was calling for chaos, and it came to pass at least on 2 fronts. So you must have been excited going into today. But, you mentioned TCU. How excited are you as a TCU fan with this particular matchup that you've got?
I like this matchup because you look at the nature from both sides with each team, right? TCU, a more explosive team, outstanding quarterback play. When you transition to Michigan, I felt like Michigan were one of the more balanced teams in college football the entire season. You look at the growth and development coming from their quarterback and J.J. McCarthy. Look at how well they play on the defensive side. This is an outstanding matchup between good versus good. Something will happen, of course, when you talk about, both teams being exceptionally consistent in the way they score points. Which defense will get the timely stops? I'm excited about that matchup. And it's hard because when you look at 1 and 4 versus 2 and 3, it's hard to say which matchup will be the best. That's why I feel like the committee got it right, because I'm excited to see Ohio State and Georgia the same way I'm excited to see Michigan take on TCU.
Jerry, what do you think about these matchups in terms of kind of what you're seeing? We're going to wait about the New Year's Six Bowls, but, in terms of these top 4 matchups, what do you think about the way that these are set out?
Well, I'm particularly excited about the Georgia-Ohio State game because You talk about one of the elite defenses in college football in Georgia taking on one of the elite offenses in Ohio State. And it may come down to whether or not Georgia can score against Ohio State enough. If this is a high-scoring game, I don't think Georgia can win. They're going to have to hold that Ohio State offense down. And if they can do that, then I actually like Georgia in this game. But that's such a contrast in style and strengths that I think that it creates a very intriguing matchup.
Danny, do you think about that in terms of these matchups as a whole, just the particular style of play that each of these four teams has against one another?
I love it. That's why I like these matchups, because you do have this prolific offense that Ohio State has that has an opportunity to avenge their loss to Michigan, right? Their offense got held in check. Now they're going to play a similar style physical defense. They'll get to do it in pristine conditions indoors in Atlanta, and they can go out and silence any critics, and they can potentially win that game. I'm with Jerry. I think it's an interesting matchup because Ohio State's defense is better, and I think Georgia, this will clearly be the best opponent they've played all season long. Their schedule, as much as we've talked about it, it isn't exactly a gauntlet. You go back to the Oregon game, that's by far their most impressive win. Tennessee, which was their second best win, all of a sudden that doesn't look as impressive when South Carolina beats them. This will be a true test for Georgia, which they haven't had all season long. And then for Ohio State, they also get criticized for not being physical on the defensive side of the ball. Well, guess what? Here's your opportunity because they are going to get challenged there. So I think this matchup's fascinating. I think Michigan-TCU is fascinating, the different styles of play that you see. And I think they're going to be close games. I know we always talk about the blowout potential that's there. I think these matchups set up for some really intriguing, entertaining games.
And the way that it's set out, Ohio State-Georgia will be the late game on New Year's Eve, which means TCU-Michigan will be at, I think it's 4 p.m. Eastern Time, and the other game will be at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. Danny Cannell, Jerry Palm, Brian McFadden joining us to discuss the top four of the college football playoff now set. And if you want more on this, be sure to check out the Cover 3 podcast. They'll be talking about this in depth. You may see sirens in your feed because they'll likely be going up with this. Danny Cannell, part of that. Chip Patterson, Tom Fornelli, Bud Elliott. You can download and follow wherever you get your preferred podcast audio.
Do you want a sports network that delivers everything that matters about the game? The highlights, the picks, the instant analysis. No yelling, no fake debates, no politics. Hit the subscribe button and never miss a moment.